Hello and welcome to episode 168 of the Pitch Roar, the hitter, the podcast by the M-SABR Dynasty League for the M-SABR Dynasty League. I am Cam.
I'm Sahil.
And I'm EBO 0.5 times 0.5.
That is
I don't
right.
have
We
to say
are
times 0.5. Parentheses would imply it.
we have parentheses 0.5 close parentheses. We are joined by Zane here to discuss one of our semis matchups, Sahil versus Zane. Sahil, we don't want to talk about how he got to the semis. Zane, I don't want to talk about how he got to the semis either. But it's painful to me in both ways. But yes, we've got a great episode coming up today.
Yes.
Happy to be here, baby.
Yeah. This is gonna be a fun one. Nice to be back after Cam and I recorded last week, but didn't actually get an episode up. Oh, just understood Cam was moving. So glad to hear it.
And busy and focused on the current matchup, but yeah.
Yes.
It is.
As was I.
That is
Nice NCAA setup, though.
I do.
Priorities.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Currently playing it on the floor. We don't have a couch yet, but
let's go.
But we're, the priorities are in order. We're starting the Pac-12 league, which is going to be very exciting. And yeah, we got two round one matchups to get into. Do we want to dive into them?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to talk about your pain and suffering first, or do you want to delay talking about that?
Yeah, let's rip off the Band-Aid, shall we?
Yeah, we shall. This one was an interesting one. I had an awesome Monday. Like, I was blowing you out, both hitting wise and pitching wise. And I'll be honest, once I saw that, I was like, I'm gonna beat him this week. I was like, I don't care what happens, I'm gonna beat him. Like, everything was going right. And I never relinquished the lead. Like, there were times where you came close to taking the lead back. It would dip down to 7-5 or 7-3-2, whatever. And then the lead would go back up and it'd go back down. And then Sunday hits. And I mean, hold on, I took a picture of this because it was just so insanely close. It was pretty clear all week that I was going to win 5 of the 6 pitching categories. You were going to win holds. I was just dominating you in the rest of the pitching categories. And I said this on the never posted podcast. So you can only just
lost media
for it. Yes. The lost episode that, like, I'm better at hitting, I'm better at pitching, you're better at hitting. It's whoever could take the other team's categories. And there's a real opportunity on Sunday for me to take some of these hitting categories. I was up 3 runs going into day. You were up a double. I was up a homer and 4 RBIs. We were tied in steals, and you were up by like 100th of an OBP point. And ultimately, I was up 10-2 there for a while. You made a furious comeback. I put my phone down, and next thing I know, you're like down an RBI, and you just needed 2 of them to come back and take the win. But you just ran out of time, Cam, and you ended up losing by 2 RBIs, and I got a clutch Marcus Semien stolen base yesterday to give me the stolen base lead, and that was that. I won 7-5. I took just enough offensive categories off of you, and your season has come to an end.
Yeah, second year in a row, it's come to an end in the first round of the playoffs. Despite, me feeling like I played a good matchup, I managed well. I had a great stream on Sunday of Connor Wong. You're right, I really felt like I ran out of time. I got a Bogarts homer late on Sunday. I got a Jackson Merrill homer. I think I hit like 4 homers on Sunday.
Yeah.
But, if Aaron Judge drove in 2 runs this week, if he had driven in 4, I would have been advancing. Just kind of tough scenes there. I did manage to bait you into starting Jared Jones on Sunday by picking up JT Ginn against the Pirates. Ginn pitched fine, but Jared Jones pitched one of the best games any pitcher has pitched this season. So that kind of, not that it really was gonna be any more than a long shot, but it did not work out for me. Yeah, that semi and stolen base really kind of did me in. Yeah, pitching wise, I was fine. I blew two saves on Monday. I tried to stream an Adrian Morejón save that turned out to be an Adrian Morejón stream hold, um, accidentally. But like I got a good start from Mitch Keller. I got a fantastic start from Framber. I guess Helsley's blown save ended up being unearned runs, so he ended up having a decent week. Great start from Wheeler. Decent start from Walker Buehler even. So like, my pitching performed better than it has in a little bit. And I hit fine, but your hitting has been terrible all season and you just managed to hit well enough.
It's been getting better the last couple
I mean,
weeks.
even Tatis was back, but he was really lousy. He hurt your team.
Yeah.
He might have even won on base percentage if he wasn't back. Regardless, though, I gotta take it back to the workshop, I think, in the off season, figure some stuff out. I picked up Simeon Woods Richardson as like a guy to take a flyer on for the last couple weeks of the season, see if he sticks in my rotation or if he's someone that I'll want there next year. But yeah, I gotta tinker with some things. You pitched stupidly good though all week, I gotta say.
Yeah, my pitching staff's rolling right now. And I somehow managed to bench the one bad start. That was Gavin Williams didn't get out of the first inning against the Dodgers. And I haven't calculated the ERA and WHIP. Maybe it wouldn't have made a difference, but would not have been surprised if that would have flipped the category and would have given you a win because you also had a pretty solid ERA and WHIP, not to the level I did, but a very solid one. So, um, yeah, that
Yeah.
worked out to my advantage.
No, I really did. I had a great pitching week. Lastly, I just want to say I would have beaten Andrew. So if I had lost to Erik in week 22 instead of tying Erik, I would be in the semis. This league can be very, 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 very cruel sometimes.
Well, I think you learned a lesson, and that's you need to go out and get pitching. I think the roto, which I put out a week ago today, showed just how stark of a difference there was between your hitting roto and your pitching roto. And I like to think with some better pitching, you could have made it a little farther. And maybe even if you're not like sweeping the pitching categories or anything, maybe you could have picked off another pitching category or two against me, hypothetically, and that could have gotten you ahead there. But it felt like at
I
the end
think
there,
I don't know. I think I just had a lot of stupid luck, and it happens sometimes. I had great. I really did not have any injuries all season to my hitters, and I had five different hitters get hurt this week. So it just happens like that
look,
sometimes.
it's how it goes.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
that's pretty nutty.
Yeah, it's
I announced in the chat that I had four, and then India got hurt after I even announced that.
but look,
Yeah, India was ready for that. He was keeping watch for your message.
it's who's hot at the end here. That's what it comes down to. Once you get
Just
into
like
the
real life,
playoffs,
man.
yeah. Once you get to the playoffs, everyone is 0-0 again.
You
Yeah,
can
it's
say that
tough.
again. It's the type of thing. It's hard to see where to go next from here.
I don't know. You
Yeah,
seem
it's also
go
it's
ahead,
also
Zane.
kind of hard to put too much stock. Yeah, it's a little hard to put too much stock into a one game sample size. Just saying that as a Lions fan whose dad obsessed over the Dan Campbell fourth down calls in that game. You sit on that for months and months and months and just don't want that to affect your personnel decisions too hard because at the end of the day, you still got Judge and Soto, and the pitching is tough, but I mean, you can move guys around. Pitching's volatile too, so it's tough. It's a tough league, and you were very clearly in the driver's seat in those top two team spots all year, and that's kind of just what happens every year with one or two teams in all of these leagues. It's like, oh, so and so should have made it to the conference finals minimum, but drew a bad matchup, cold, somebody was injured, and like the Bucks this past year, Giannis was hurt, and that was that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
Sahil's a horrible 6 seed draw. That's a nightmare situation. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? This guy's never missed the semifinals, and he's my quarterfinals matchup.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, as the 6 seed.
7 years, seven semifinals appearances. I would not have expected that when I first joined the league, but I will certainly take that.
I've a rebuild, and you still haven't the semifinal.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, that's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, you've been through like two whole different eras at EBO. Maybe even three if you're
Two
counting the
rebuilds.
bullpen era as one. Oh,
I
man.
was about to say that
yeah.
that was my retool. That was my retool. I should have kept Ozuna. That's all I'm saying. But you think a guy gets a DUI, you think he's done. That's not how baseball works.
No, he was a good
No.
Just ask Rasheed Rice.
Just ask
he had
Tony
a couple
Russo.
back,
Oh my god.
but anything else you'd like to say about this Cam? I guess you have to name a matchup MVP.
Yeah, matchup MVP. It's got to be Garrett Cole. I mean, two quality starts, 16 Ks, one earned run, 9 base runners. I mean, that seems like a pretty clear pick to me.
When the 6 seed comes in with 2 starts from Garrett Cole, this league is wow.
It is a cruel league. Let's talk about the other round one matchup, though. We, for the second year in a row, have had both round one matchups end in upsets.
Oh wow.
Andrew Anthony, he was dominating all week. I mean, this one wasn't particularly close from the get-go. Andrew's leading 11-1 most of the week. Anthony clawed back a bit, but still lost 9-2. Just not a great offensive week for him. 263 OBP. And then on the pitching side, kind of a mediocre performance. He did tie Andrew in strikeouts and quality starts, but Andrew very much outdid him in the rest of the pitching categories, including an Andrew record 10 saves. So congrats to Andrew on that. And for the second straight year, Andrew is a semis team after kind of announcing that he was going to sell / retool by sending a bunch of players to EBO. So that was kind of interesting to me, but nevertheless, I am happy for Andrew. A long rebuild it was, and he is now back-to-back years in the semis. It's interesting. Only me and Andrew are returning semis teams. I think last year's Jake and who was the other team? Ruthvik.
Ruthvik.
Oh man. Yeah, and both of them missed the playoffs, so interesting how that goes. But yeah, what else do you have to say about the other semis matchup?
Neither of these teams played particularly well. I know, Sahil, you and me probably wish we could have played in this matchup.
I was
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I guess you got to knock me out instead of having to face me in a different week. But yeah, Andrew, outside of the 10 saves Andrew had, neither and maybe 20 doubles, neither team really had any sort of standout category. Anthony stole 11 bases, so that's pretty good too. But that came with a 263 OBP, 9 homers, 30 runs. Just a tough week there. Tough week for Jesse Winker, Carlos Santana. Sean Murphy went over 12 in Anthony's lineup. It's just a rough week there. Looking at Andrews, hitting, he did, just enough. Matchup MVP has got to be Kyle Schwarber, who's basically this entire team's, this entire offense. He homered 5 times, 11 RBIs, 500 OBP, scored 9 runs. Just a stupidly good week for Schwarber. And pitching wise, he got his record breaking saves, four of which came from Kirby Yates. Kirby Yates was a midseason acquisition for this team on the trade deadline or on the trade block from Sahil. So exciting for Andrew to have a new guy kind of carry his bullpen here.
Yeah, I totally agree. Anthony, tough week. It really balanced out how hot he started. He regressed to the mean really hard this week. That OBP was brutal. The steals were still there. Some of the counting stats were still there, but not maybe enough to sneak by in a game when you're playing a sub 500 team. It just didn't work out. Tying K's and quality starts is kind of funny, but yeah, only one there. Andrew's bullpen being that busy was kind of surprising, but Andrew's been on a run. His team, I always thought it was top 4 talent throughout this year. I felt lucky to be able to trade for a few reinforcements from him, but dang, that just hearing those stats made me say I should have pushed harder to. I mean, it was going to be hard to buy Brian Reynolds and Kyle Schwarber, but the option was there to choose between the two, and I just hope we don't regret going for the more long-term optic guy and Reynolds when we have this opportunity. But at the same time, we're such a young team that would have not made as much sense to go for Schwarber. I just was looking at him and at the time and going, oh my God, he's going off. We kind of balanced it out by getting Suarez, but yeah, this matchup felt like the weaker of the two and reflected that in the stats. But at the same time, I feel like both teams were firmly in that second tier throughout the year. So I feel like Andrew can still make some noise against Erik, but am also praying that he beats Erik because I'm Erik. So
if not that thinking if Anthony had been better than me in the roto during the season, then I would be in the semis.
That too.
Yeah.
Just weird how that crumbles. But yeah, I agree. Not the best showing for either team, but Andrew's in the semis, so that's all you need.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to talk about with regards to the semis, or are we ready to discuss this week's matchups?
Let's talk about this week's matchups, and we've got Zane, we've got you on here to discuss. The two of you are squaring off. It's a classic EBO versus Sahil matchup in the semis. Have you ever played in the semis before? Maybe like in 2019 or something?
No, but
did we play each other in the first year, or was that quarterfinals?
Yes, no. First year we only had 4 teams, so in the playoffs, so that was the first round.
Funny.
Semis. That was back when it was a 2-week matchup.
Yeah.
And Max got off to a really hot start that first week, and I kind of came back in the second week, but it just wasn't enough, too little, too late. But then we also played in the infamous 2020 finals, in which I
Sunday Sahil.
Yes, yeah, I just went ham.
His Sunday was crazy. I still remember the walk I took after that and was, oh my God, I need to rebuild this team.
Oh man.
Never going to catch up to this pitching. Now, the funny thing is, I remember at the time thinking I need to get the higher seed and then just try to keep it close.
Yeah.
It is nice to have the higher seed right here. We'll see how things go because your pitching is on a roll. And I'm a little worried our roster falls into a little bit of the same pitfalls as you guys were talking about Fernando Tatis coming back and being a detriment. I am hoping that we don't see Kyle Tucker be a detriment as he comes back. His second game was very good. Baseball chaos, just don't want him to have a bad week. We're not starting Yamamoto tomorrow after hearing he's on a pitch count. We just promoted Rhett Lauder after seeing him go ham against Houston, and we're hoping that he can put together a solid start, but it's weird. Like there's a lot of decisions at play on our side. Dylan Cruz is currently down in the farm system. We thought about promoting him with our last acquisition on Sunday. We were real over the bye week using all 8 of our acquisitions almost. Left that 8th one on the table. Yeah, at this point we just wait and see. You're hot and you have the monster in your prime, if maybe exiting some primes on a couple players' rosters. So I am curious to see how it goes.
Me too. I think so. I have less decisions, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that like I didn't use a single ad drop last week against Cam. I thought John Kenzie Noel had more prospect eligibility, but he did not. So I didn't end up making an ad drop last week because I didn't really want to drop anybody. I cut Nestor Cortez, who you added, and I'm curious to see if that has any real impact on the matchup. But I have some guys I really don't want to cut, and I might have to make some tough cuts coming up here. But I kind of have the guys that I have, and I think early in the week I'm going to see how that goes. But one of my concerns is that I don't have a 2-start week by any pitcher this week. I have 9
Yeah.
starts roster. That's it. So maybe, I mean, I had 8 quality starts out of 11 last week, so I'm certainly capable of just putting up a shit ton of quality, right? But, I'm concerned if that quantity is going to be there. And at the same time, the flip side of Kyle Tucker potentially being rusty is he's still Kyle Tucker, right? And Gunnar Henderson's coming off.
Yep, exactly.
He's been heating up after like 6 to 8 weeks that were like solid, but nothing really spectacular. He was kind of in a slump. And I mean, you have some other guys too. I mean, CJ Abrams has been ridiculously streaky, and I know he's cold, but when he gets hot, he gets hot. Um,
Yeah.
Capable of racking up a lot of steals, a lot of home runs, and
And he homered yesterday, so
exactly.
showed a little bit of it.
Right. And I think you and Sully do a good job of kind of pushing the right buttons and managing pretty well. So I I feel good about the team that I have, but I also think that you all have put together a really good roster and have some really good decision making here that kind of has me a bit nervous. I am thankful that you do have a lot of your pitching going between today and tomorrow. I know you got the Carlos Rodon quality
Mm-hmm.
stuff already today, but I think you have like 3 or 4 starters tomorrow because I think that'll help paint a little better picture of what I'm up against and how to strategize. But yeah, this is going to
Yeah,
be
we only have 3 projected starts Thursday onward.
yeah, yeah. So that's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. But
I don't know
yeah,
if somebody's a listed start, but yeah.
yeah. This is gonna be a really tough week. I think for both of us, it's gonna be a nail biter. I wouldn't expect it any other way, but I think both of our teams are very talented. It's been very good seasons for both of us for the most part here. And you know, well, however it happens, I know it's going to be hard fought. I know we're going to have a lot of fun with it, and I know we're both going to put our 100%. So that gives me some peace. No matter what happens, it's not like I'm losing to someone who's like not setting their lineup or doesn't really care. So, uh,
No, yeah, that's not happening in here,
not at
unfortunately. Fortunately, unfortunately.
all.
Yeah, the waiver wire is bad this week. So if either of us decide to stream pitching, we are doing it at our own risk. I mean, Marcus Stroman going against KC. Oh boy, he's at the top of the list. Charlie Morton, dang, tonight he was good. I thought about it, but Cincinnati scares me. It wasn't Atlanta, but he's a cherry bomb, so I don't know, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say Charlie
Ben
Moore.
Lively's going up here. Aaron Savali, Albert Suarez. These are our best options on waivers, man. Rhett Lauder pitches twice this week, though. So if he is good tomorrow, he will be going twice, probably.
I'm really curious to see how he does because that Atlanta matchup is. I mean, Atlanta sounds tough on paper, but I mean, they've obviously lost a lot of talent offensively.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm always thinking about too. Is I know that some names scare me more than others, but also on the flip side, you could be a really poor fantasy manager right now if you streamed every pitcher you can because they're facing the Tigers, and they've just been hammering bad teams randomly. Well, not even randomly anymore. They're firmly in the race, but
I
oftentimes
mean,
once
yeah,
your
I just streamed a starting pitcher
associations go,
against the Tigers yesterday. It didn't go the best for me.
yep. So once your perceptions go a little stale, that's when they get you. And I'm always like, I have a couple biases I've had to check recently on different things. So just trying to keep up. This game moves fast. That's the main, like, this has been our best season, I think, start to finish for EBO across the league's history so far. I mean, just start to finish, this team has been way outperforming where I thought it would be, where Sully thought it would be, where the league thought it would be, and the league and us have been pretty optimistic about everything. But I don't know. It feels like this team came up almost on the same timeline as Alex. We were rebuilding on similar timelines, even in 2022. But that Riley Green Jackson Holiday deal kind of switched our mentalities a little bit. And at this point, I mean, our off season really put us here. We really accelerated the timeline. With that said, Jackson Churio is turning out, but at the same time, we got Kyle Tucker out of the whole ordeal. And I know he didn't bring us here, but the combination of everything firing and him giving us 2 months and him coming back here, I mean, that's everything we hoped for. So I don't know. He had such a big impact on the first 8 weeks that it's hard to say he didn't have a big part bringing us here. We were probably better in the first half of the season. I had to work through a couple of things, and the trade deadline really re-bolstered us and reloaded us. I have to say, the one trade, though, that I think was worth its weight in gold already is Clase. Clase's a beast.
He's been insane. My God, every time he gets the ball, I mean, you know it's going to be a save. Like I mean, obviously the Guardians still have to to get the Clase here in the ninth, but like he hasn't thrown a pitch. But I already said it's a Clase save. Like I'm fully expecting it. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. Honestly, the only thing that can stop that right now is the Guardians just scoring a couple more runs because it is the White Sox. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, he has been awesome. Yeah, I will say though, it's going to be the closer matchup is going to be more interesting than we think. I mean, Clase's been good, but and he's obviously the number one reliever on the player rater. But number two is the guy I own. It's Raisel Iglesias, 1.18 ERA,
Yep.
0.66 WHIP on the season, 31 saves. So I think he had 3 saves last week. Obviously, Hader's been good on the year. He has 29 saves, and Carlos Estevez, I know he blew one today, but he has 24. I know you also have Robert Suarez, who has been really good, minus a recent blow up against the Tigers. And you have Lucas Erceg, who has been pretty solid since heading over to Kansas City. So this is going to be a fun bullpen matchup as well. You
Yeah, I
also
think
some
so too.
guys, yeah. Um,
We got lucky too. Ursig, we had to drop to free agency when he was dealing with his injury, and just so happened to come out the other side with him. But for a second there, our bullpen was kind of fluctuating up and down. Suarez hasn't been his best this last run, but it's not like he's not throwing his velo or anything. He's getting BABIP'd a little bit. Gaddis and Clase has been our bread and butter, just the same as Cleveland. You wonder how Cleveland's sitting at the top of the AL Central so firmly like that. They don't feel like they're better than KC even, and I think the run differential says it's pretty similar, but Manuel Clase leads baseball in WPA this year, so he has been just something else. But this bullpen matchup still is going to be tight. Andrew Kittredge has been good lately. He had a stretch where he struggled after we acquired him, and I almost dropped him. But yeah, we'll see. We might. I'm always worried about holds, to be honest. Holds are so random. Even when we were bullpenning, it was just like I cannot control whether I'm going to do well in holds or not. Just like I can't control when Luis Robert is going to have a 0 for 3 night like he did tonight. But
Well,
just
Cody
gotta roll with
Bellinger,
those
as
things.
speaking, hit a 2-run home run. So,
Ooh,
yeah, that's curious to see how that team ages, or that trade. Sorry, curious how that trade ages.
yeah.
Well,
Cody
you did
Bellinger.
get Sal Perez in that trade, and he won 4 for 4 with a homer and 3
Yeah,
ribbies today. So,
he has been the better
uh,
part of the trade for the most part so far. But with that said, Luis Robert has given us a couple of monster games in the past couple weeks. So well, actually, no, it was a couple weeks ago now that he had that monster game. But he hasn't
it
been
was against
terrible.
me.
He's been getting more hits.
Yeah, I think he's certainly better than he's played on the
He
season.
was
I just don't know
abysmal
how much better.
prior. That was the only reason
Oh
I was
God,
able to trade for him. He was so bad. Like entering the season, nobody thought that Connor would put Luis Robert on the market. And I remember when he showed us who he was willing to shop, and we saw him and Salvi Perez on the list, we were like, okay, those are the two guys, and we're doing it. We've been talking about trading Belly. Now, with that said, I do real quick podcast exclusive. Only me and Anthony know this, but I did think about buying Kerry Carpenter back. You know, he's my guy. Do you want to know what the price would have been on Kerry Carpenter?
oh God, it's gonna be expensive.
Cody
It was
Bellinger.
expensive. That's why I didn't do it. It was Cody Bellinger. It was Erik Fetty, which in hindsight would have been totally fine. But the part that would have been a little hard to give up now, and Anthony's glad he didn't take this deal, but he also wanted Chandler Simpson, who just eclipsed 100 stolen bases in the minors this season.
Ooh. I mean, that would have been a fun get for him.
It would have been a fun get. It would have been a pretty like that deal on paper right now would have been pretty darn even. Even now, I don't think Anthony would do that at this point, but I don't know. It depends on how much he likes Chandler Simpson. So Anthony, if you're listening, let's link up in the off season if you want to have the greatest steals player of all time coming up here. Hope he can hit though.
God, the next,
Yeah, those guys never can they?
I
No,
was
they
gonna say
never can.
next Billy Hamilton, next Miles Straw. Oh
Thanks,
God,
Victor Scott.
Next,
I
Travis
remember when I thought Miles Straw was
Jankowski.
good.
Oh man,
Oh God.
I definitely remember you thinking that for some reason.
Chandler Simpson has one home run this year in the minors between high A and double A, but he has a combined about 142 WRC plus because he strikes out about, well, let's see, so far in 75 games at double A, he has struck out in 7.5% of his at bats, 353 average, slugging's only 411, 71 stolen bases in 75 games, 31 in 32 games at high A. So he has 102 stolen bases
God, that is
and like
quite the
no
profile.
RBIs.
Oh my God. Is he just like a speedy Luis Arias almost?
Kinda. That's a pretty good comp. His hit is projected to be a 60 hit tool long term by Fangraphs in their updated rankings. 80 grade speed today and in the future. So that's the hope.
Oh man.
Fantasy
That's
memes are always my dreams.
All right. Well, anything else on this matchup? We got to give Erik and Andrew something to listen to. They're also playing the semis.
They should have made a podcast. No, yeah, I'm all good. I'm clenching over here, and I'll unclench one way or no. I might not unclench on Sunday. Depends on if I have to see Erik or not.
oh God.
Man,
I would be
Honestly,
with
I'm more scared of Andrew if Erik loses. It's like, wait a minute.
so this
Oh
is a
God.
rematch of the first round last year. Andrew pulled off a 7-5 win. He won 3 hitting categories and 4 pitching categories. He struck out 91 batters with 7 quality starts. Erik had kind of a lousy week by his own standards, but really what it came down to was Andrew striking out 91 and Erik striking out 90. So that was what happened last year. This year, Erik in the regular season in the Roto is ahead in 10 of 12 categories. He's ahead of in everything except for the 2 bullpen categories. So I would say it's safe to say Erik is a heavy favorite, but that certainly doesn't mean that Andrew is dead in the water or anything like that. He currently leads as of 10:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Monday night. He also in their 2 matchups this year had a 5-7 loss and another 5-7 loss. So he kept it close both times. I think this one definitely could be interesting here.
Yeah, I think it could certainly be interesting. I think Erik is the heavy favorite. I think the difference between this year's matchup and last year's matchup is I'm a lot more confident in Erik's pitching. I mean, he pushed all the right buttons between picking up Jack Flaherty and Ronaldo Lopez in the offseason, trading for Cole Reagans, right? You know, he has some other guys who have really stepped up too. Michael King, after a slow start, has really been good.
He's got
Luis
Chris Sale.
Yeah, Chris Sale's kind of come back. Spencer Schwellenbach has kind of been great out of nowhere. And then offensively, right? Like Brett Rooker's been great for him. He traded for Santander, who 8th switch hitter of all time to hit 40 home runs. He did that today, first time since 2006. Congrats to him. He's Marcelo Ozuna, who's been great this year. Might win a triple crown. And Erik's only real injury. So yeah, he's missing DeGrom. He's been missing all year, but and Tyler Glasnow and Hunter Green are hurt, but Erik certainly has a pitching depth to overcome that. On the hitting side, all he's missing is Vinny P. And I get it, he was really Erik's only first baseman. He's not streaming Luke Raley, but it's a pretty healthy offense and a pretty damn good offense at that with, William Contreras, Jose Ramirez, Ellie, Royce Lewis, Santander, Shohei, who I haven't even mentioned once somehow, Ozuna. So, this team's just broken.
I think that means we're going to see 5 of Erik's bats get hurt this week.
I wouldn't put it past him with the luck, but I think Erik now, he has not won a playoff game. Am I correct? Since he won the league in 21.
That is correct.
Yeah, so I have a hard time believing he's not going to break that streak this week. I think he dipped a little bit the past couple years, but he's made some really savvy moves to get himself back up there. Especially with the pitching. So yeah.
It seems like a long time ago we were really worried about his pitching going into the year, and everything just really broke right for him.
Everything fell into place. Yeah.
And it wasn't just 1 or 2 guys. It's 5 or 6 guys that just decided either to have career years or bounce back, or it's insane.
Yeah, I was not a Chris Sale believer, and he is going to win the Cy Young. So what do I know?
I'm just happy it's Blake Snell.
Man, yeah, it's not Blake Snell, at least not this year. Let's look at starters. Monday Andrew had Reed Detmers. He's got on Tuesday.
Got a quality start somehow.
Yeah, quality start for Detmers. Tuesday he's got Chris Bassett against the Mets and Osvaldo Bido against the Astros. I really wish I had picked up Osvaldo Bido and not been 4 minutes too late on him. Wednesday he's got Matt Boyd against the White Sox, which is an interesting matchup. Thursday,
Sully wanted to stream that.
That's definitely a good one. Yeah, Thursday, Ryan Pepio against Cleveland. Friday, it's Tanner Bybee against Tampa. So he's kind of consistently got 1 or 2 guys every day, and these are pretty solid matchups, I gotta say. Saturday, it's Jameson Tyone at Coors Field, so that's not a good matchup. And then Sunday, it is Osvaldo Bido against the White Sox again. So he's got 2 pitchers going against the White Sox this week. I think that could, it's he doesn't have as good pitchers as Erik has, but some of these matchups are looking kind of favorable. Looking at Erik's guys, and I know Sahil, this is something you can do. So if you want to take over, this is something that you always do. So if you want to take over listing Erik starters,
Yeah,
feel free.
sure. Yeah. So Erik has no starters today. Tomorrow, so he's George Kirby against the Padres, Ronaldo Lopez at Washington. Wednesday he has Michael King at Seattle, Cole Reagan's at the Yankees, and he's going up against Luis Heel, who Erik also has. Nobody on Thursday. He has Spencer Schwellenbach against the Dodgers on Friday. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not Erik rolls the dice there. He's got Corbin Burns at Detroit on Saturday, Jack Flaherty at Atlanta on Saturday as well, and he is going up against Chris Sale. I mean, Erik's got some heavyweights on Saturday, and then Sunday he's got George Kirby against Texas. So that's 1, 4, 5, 8. It's only 10 starts Erik has this week, which feels low because I feel like lately he's had like 13 or 14 starts pretty consistently, and then he kind of just picks who he wants to bench. So this could maybe be a little opening for Andrew.
Landry's at what, 8 or 9, I think. Yeah, I mean, I like Erik starters, but I like Andrew's matchups a lot, and he could, if he can stream well this week, he could certainly keep it competitive in the pitching.
Yeah, I don't think Andrew's out of this by any means. Like, look, I mean, even Erik has lost to, had some tough losses this year, right? He lost week 1 to Ruthvik. He tied Anthony this year. He lost to EBO and tied EBO. Lost to Jake, right? And this was a J team that wasn't going to make the playoffs. He tied you the last time he played. And granted, a tie would allow him to advance here, but I don't think it's like a guarantee that Erik is going to win. Do I think he's a heavy favorite? Yes. But I also do recall a 2021 semis round where I thought I was a heavy favorite over Connor and my team fell flat. So um, we'll see how this goes. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for Erik. I know he's going to take this very seriously. I know Andrew's going to play his ass off too, and it's going to be a fun matchup. And I'm curious to see who comes out on the other side.
Yeah, we'll see how it all goes. Erik's team is so interesting to me. Yeah, I was going to say it's so super deep, but at the same time, you have Luke Raley and Jorge Polanco. Tyler Fitzgerald was like lightning in a bottle for a minute there, but he's kind of come back to earth. He's still pretty good though. Ellie De La Cruz is a cheat code. Lawrence Butler has been absolutely elite. Shohei Ohtani is the cheat code. Jock Peterson's a great bench option. Once Erik got him and held him, that drove me nuts. But honestly, he's kind of come back down to earth too. So I don't have to be too upset about it now. Just looking down his pitching, we talked about that quite a bit, but it's been good. He knows how to stream very well. So yeah, even though he's limited without Glass now, and Pasquantino is actually a bigger fantasy hit than he is a real life hit, honestly, because he was about to eclipse 100 RBIs. Erik always has that 100 RBI guy that you're like, no way he has 100 RBIs. Jorge Soler for Casey a few years ago or wherever he was, but curious to see how it goes over there. Erik's roster is much better today. We all know how volatile things can be. Andrew, he retooled in a way that next year he can bring in Grayson Rodriguez, healthy Justin Steele, bring back in Yuri Perez, hopefully. And I mean, those are big pitching reinforcements to take on. And I thought we'd be more in that spot because, we were sitting there with an injured Shane Bieber in April and Sandy Alcantara bought in the offseason. But at the end of the day, it's pretty massive pitching influx that he's going to get next year. So
You did bring
I
up
don't
a
know
good
what direction each is going in, but
you bring up a good point, and that's that Andrew's team is a lot more hurt than Eric's team is, and a lot of this was recent development, so he hasn't really had time to adjust to it. Justin
Class A
Steele
save.
last week. Yeah. I mean, are you
Class A save. Gaddis hold.
Yeah. Oh God. And we're gonna have to pick these in a second. That might help motivate me to pick one way or another. Oh, God. Either of you have anything else to say about this matchup?
Nah, I got my picks ready though. I know who I'm taking for each, I think.
I think I am ready also. Yeah, do we have a matchup to watch here? I know there's one that we talked about for a lot longer than the other.
Us.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to watch that fifth place game between Cam and
Otto Lopez is going to lead us to victory. What can I say?
Oh my God.
Eh,
Did you like my eulogy for you?
I felt too sad to read it.
Don't worry, the AI wasn't very nice.
No, it was, but the AI was strangely accurate because it didn't shit on your hitting and chat on your pitching.
Yes, it
Um,
did.
No,
yeah, and I was like, okay, damn, the AI
it
has been
knows.
listening to. Yeah, it knows.
It's trained on episodes of the pitcher or the hitter.
Oh God. I did read an article this week that like some company admitted that they use the microphones to listen to us, like which is something I already knew was true, but to, like actually hear it from a company like somehow makes it more comforting.
Comforting. That's not.
I guess well because it's public now. It's not like some Illuminati like conspiracy bullshit. It's just hey, we're doing it. Like deal with it. Um,
That's
I
an
don't know.
interesting way to look at it.
But yeah, so but they were listening to me like yell at you all week, like or all year, like go trade for more pitching. Your pitching staff is ass. Uh um
I traded for the pitching that I could trade for, and it didn't work the best.
yeah.
But yes, we got two matchups here. Shall we pick them? And how did we do last week?
Yeah, let's go over how we did last week first. You all were not privy to how we picked last week, so I will say what we did. Picked
Oh,
It was a rare instance where Cam and I did not pick the other team to win. We each picked ourselves to win. I picked myself to win 6-5-1. I came close. So also, for those of you who don't remember from last year, Cam and I are giving ourselves an extra point in the win column if we pick the score exactly right. Last year, Cam picked I believe it was my semifinal score, right? I beat Andrew 8-3-1. He picked me 8-3-1. Um I came close. I picked myself to win 6-5-1. Cam picked himself to win 7-5. He got the score right. He got the team that won wrong. I picked Anthony to tie Andrew, which meant he would have advanced. So that's just wrong. I'm not even going to count that as a tie. And then Cam picked Andrew to win 7-3-2. Andrew won 9-3-2. So Cam and I each won 1-1 on the week, which means that I am now 68, 30, and 18, and Cam is now 68, 29, and 20. So Cam is still ahead of me, but uh Cam, why don't you pick first? Well, since you do have the better record you do, but I want Zane and I to pick last here so that we are really talking about our matchup first or picking our matchup first.
All right, I think Erik is going to have an 8-3-1 victory over Andrew, and I think it'll be closer throughout the week, but I think Erik's going to pull away on Saturday. And as for your matchup, I mean, it's so tough considering we already know what's happened on Monday. So it's hard not to take that into account. I think we're supposed to not take that into account, but I think I'm going to pick uh I'm going to pick a 6-5-1 Sahil win.
Ooh,
Have it
interesting.
Sahil Sunday.
Okay. Um, Zane, I'll be a nice host. I'll let you pick next.
All right, let's see. For Erik and Andrew, currently sitting live very temporarily at 4-3-5. Andrew, what was the final score last year in their matchup
Seven
quarterfinals?
five, 7-5 Andrew.
7-5 Andrew. I think this one could get a little messy. Now with that said, this could go any direction. I just think that right at this moment, Erik has been a buzzsaw, and Andrew would be better had he gone full in on winning this year. So I'm leaning Erik for sure. I'm feeling about 8-4. I don't think 9-3. I don't know if it'll be that slanted. Honestly, looking at the hitting stats, it could get that way. I will go 9-3, Erik. Um, I
Okay.
feel like at a certain point, Andrew's going to have to get a little lucky with the pitching, and those hitting stats could get ugly quick. He's also just had tough luck on the hitting at the end of the day. His lineup was performing better last year. So, our matchup, my pick has been locked and loaded since the beginning of the week. In my head, I am manifesting a 6-6 tie. So when you said that, Cam, that is what I am also quietly thinking is going to happen. But no, I will pick 6-6 tie, and we finally get to enjoy a higher seed helping us out. Now, obviously, it wouldn't be able to help us out next week, but good God, if we made it to next week, then we beat the Lions last year, and that's what we modeled our season off of. We are supposed to go up handily against Sahil 2 or 3 days in, and then choke it away if we are going to finish our Lions prophecy. I would pick that if I were you, Sahil. I almost feel like that's meant to happen, just the way that the stars have written it out. But I'm hoping for the tie. I'll pick the tie.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna pick Erik to win 7-4-1. I think Andrew's gonna put up a fight, but I think Cam is right. I think Eric's gonna pull away around like Friday or Saturday. And while I think Andrew's gonna have an outside shot of winning on Sunday, I think it's gonna be pretty clear that Erik is gonna be the team that's going to advance. Uh, I, our matchup. So yeah, I mean, it's hard not to put stock into today. Um, I do think, right, it's one start and a couple relief appearances. So, there could be a couple bad starts tomorrow and all of a sudden the pitching looks very different. We've had good pitching days, which have been immediately been done in by bad pitching days, and none of the offensive categories have really in any one team's favor or another. So that doesn't weigh too much for me.
Yeah, it's
I,
a small sample size. It's like
right.
going off of the first week of April.
Exactly. I'm still concerned about uh, your pitching quantity, Zane, but I do think I just the way my team is pitching. This isn't to say you don't have good pitchers. I mean, Tariq Skubal's been awesome. I know you're not going to start him this week, but Yamamoto, Imanaga's been awesome. Although he does have a tough matchup against the Dodgers, but I feel like my pitching's kind of hitting its stride right now. I think it's really going to come down to I don't know because it's not like my matchup with Cam, where it's pretty clear one of us dominates on one side of the ball and the other team dominates on the other side. Um, I think I'll pull it out 6-5-1. I think it's going to be close. I think both of us are going to play one hell of a week. Um, I'll be rooting for whoever wins this matchup in the finals. But I mean, Zane's been working hard in this league for 7 years now. Um, two finals losses, right? I think you know, you're overdue for a championship, and I'd certainly be happy for you if you get it. But I'm gonna pick me here. But I mean, I'm not gonna be surprised, however this one turns out. We played two really
I
hard.
will not be either.
Yeah, we played two good matchups this year. We split. What you won 7-5 the first time. I won 8-4 the second time, and who knows? Um,
Exactly. I will say the one thing that's really going against us over here is if you go through those later pitching matchups in the week, Rhett Lauder's second start potentially would be at Minnesota. That can be a bit of a lunchbox sometimes. On Friday, Tobias Myers, he was great in his last start versus Colorado in Milwaukee, but going to Arizona right now is a death sentence. So I have to weigh whether we even go with that pit or start. We really need strong performances on the gimme games. Like, for example, Tarek Skubal hosting the Rockies on Thursday, but Skubal has missed a quality start in two of his last three goes, and he hasn't struck out 10 guys in a minute here. It hasn't been since July 7th. He actually never really strikes out 10 plus. It's usually 8 or 9 at any given night, maybe 7. So the pitching, I'm a little worried about. It might turn into something where, and you've seen this from EBO before, we try to win quality stats and relief stats. That's the classic EBO strat. Your team's hard to catch up with sometimes too on quality starts and Ks. So we'll see if that's where we end up kind of having to strategize. But that leaves us open to a Rob Suarez grand slam, totally screwing stuff up. It's that kind of strategy. This is going to be a very tactical game. I'm looking forward to the rest of the week. Me and Sully are constantly talking about this. We'll see how it all goes. I'm proud of what we've been able to do with the season, and I'm very impressed with what you've been able to do, turning that situation where you were just on the outside looking in for a split second, despite your roto being white hot. I mean, you just were patient with it, and it's paid off. And this is a pretty nice matchup, I have to say, for you to draw in the semifinals. You could have been playing Erik. You could have been playing Cam. Those were the two I was really scared of entering the season, you three in particular. So for you not to draw from that pool is pretty nice. The only question is, will Kyle Tucker fulfill the prophecy and be the bat that was promised?
yeah, I mean, flip side for me too is Tatis. Can he do what I know he's capable of doing?
Oh, it's such an iconic matchup, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tatis, the piece from us, once upon a time.
Well, Tatis and Betts I have from you, and Trey Turner. You have Gunner from me. You have I don't know if you have anybody else from me. You gave me Kowser back after I traded him to you in that Gunner deal. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think if there's anybody else off the top of my head. I can't think of anybody. I guess you traded me Cortez, and then I gave him, and then I dropped him. You picked him right back up.
Matt Chapman came from you.
Yes, yeah.
He has been a core part of our offense in the 6-4 season that he's inexplicably pulled out. Just looking down the list, I don't really think there's anyone else. I do want to highlight this is probably Paul Goldschmidt's last attempt at getting a ring in an EBO uniform. So I'm wishing him the best of luck. Just looking a little bit more down the list. No, got the one trade that really, I'm just like, it's weird. It's worked out for us and been a good thing for us, but the Verlander, Scherzer, and Suarez for a first. Suarez, the toss-in, has been the part that has made it worth our late first down this stretch. He has been critical. We wouldn't have this bye without Suarez. And Verlander's out here looking cooked. Scherzer's out here with a nerve issue, and I don't know if he'll pitch in these playoffs. Might very low chance he pitches before we're eliminated. Just factoring that part in too. So weird situation with that trade, bringing them home to die but Eugene Sewers, Eugenio Suarez himself has been vintage, and I was high on him from day one when he was in the Tigers org. So I'm pretty jacked that he's doing it for us right here in the playoffs. Hope if we win, he might be the Mount Rushmore Delman Young.
And of course, he was somebody that I drafted in the inaugural draft because I just remember Cam giving the presentation about why he's been better than Manny Machado. So full circle.
Full circle.
Exactly.
And I traded him to Zane for Grayson Rodriguez and Nolan Gorman, who I then put both of them together at the same time to get Framber.
That's a great trade progression, man.
And Jordan Montgomery, but we don't talk about him.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you got what you wanted out of that deal.
I certainly did, and I think Andrew has also.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. I think Jormont will bounce back next year. Give him a full off season, he'll be fine.
Somebody needs to pick him up. Just a quick little rant before we go off. To the rebuilding teams in this league, shame on you. This time last year, we were scalping like crazy off of these playoff drops and all these guys who are struggling at the back end of the season. You should be out there trying to pick up Josh Bell. Shea Langoliers should not be on free agency right now.
I cut Shea Langoliers this morning.
He keeps coming on and off, and it's just like, come on, leave him. Like one of these bad teams with like few wins should roster him over whatever project catcher they got. He is a good fantasy catcher. The other guys that stick out to me, Jordan Montgomery has been staring at me as a guy that would have been fun to pick up as a reclamation project. There's been more too, and a lot of these guys do ultimately get picked up. But like, why is Trevor McGill not owned after the season he was having on one of these teams that has nothing to gain from holding the other no-name relievers that have fallen off the map? He's excellent this year. So there are guys out there that should not be available. I challenge our bottom, our bottom 4, maybe bottom 5 teams. I'd have to take a closer look at Ruth Vick's roster construction, but I feel like there's some guys that these teams could go out and get. I will say the bottom 2 teams especially could really use some retooling. Not that Dan hasn't put in an effort. It's kind of deceptive on his 0 season. He has been juggling guys a good amount. I just think that you need that quantity. Al Avila never moved in quantity. He would make one move, call it good, wait another year. This is 12-team fantasy baseball, though. You gotta move rapidly. I'm not going to be moving rapidly anymore, like the way that we retooled everything, but that's how we're able to trade up some assets and get this team going quicker than anybody thought. Quicker than I thought. But also when guys like Kyle Tucker become available, you go buy them. Unless that guy is Julio Rodriguez, in which case you ignore the negotiations and leave your roster alone. Good job for Alex on that one. I think Alex is going to come into his own here at some point here.
He certainly sped up the rebuild with that. The call has a minute left, so I'm going to wrap us up here. Thank you, Zane, for coming on. Always great to have you on the podcast. Best of luck this week. It's going to be a fun one. Cam, congratulations on a fantastic season. You'll be back.
It just sounds so cruel.
Fantastic regular season.
Yeah, you're a regular season team. There's nothing wrong with that.
You know, some teams are
the fan base loves it.
Yeah.
You know, some teams are just not going to win a title in this league ever, and I'm one of those.
All right. This has been another episode of the Pitcher to Hitter. See y'all soon.
this podcast is good.